Hello and welcome to your video lecture today. So we are on Thursday. We're going to have a great day. We're starting our unit on hydrology, or the hydrosphere. So we're going to be discovering together over the next quite a few weeks kind of the processes that go along with the water cycle and just water in general. So it's going to be a really fun time. It is one of my favorite units to study and includes lots and lots of labs and hands-on activities. And it's really applicable for where you live and all the environmental factors that you see. So we're going to go to home of our home page on Canvas. To find our daily work, we go to modules. By the way, I did take away on your view the assignments tab. I was finding that people were trying to do the notes without the video lectures, which would do them no good. So now to get to your assignments, you must go to modules. We're going to go to the water cycle and see what we have to do. So today you're going to watch the following video on the water cycle. It'll pull up a YouTube video. As you watch this video, you're going to answer the questions on the sheet. Note that to edit this data sheet, again, you need to make a copy. So let's go through how to do that real quick. If you need a little bit more help, there's a step-by-step PowerPoint. So you go to File, make a copy that's all your own, and you will be able to edit this. So there's about 12 questions to answer as you watch the video. If you're in class with us, we're going to watch the video ourselves. After you've answered the video questions, you're going to be asked to write a story based on the following prompt. Be sure, because we are working on scientific and correct writing, that we're using correct grammar and spelling. That means capital letters and punctuations, people. Here's our prompt. So it's also right here. Imagine that you are a water molecule telling the story of your journey. Use what you learned from the previous lesson, or the water cycle lesson, the video, to demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of how the water cycle works. Include the places that you go and the changes you make as you travel through the cycle. Use the vocabulary words written below correctly in your story. Show what you know and be as creative as possible. So really the limit for this is endless. It should at least be a paragraph, and it should include all of these words. For bonus points, if you will illustrate your journey when you're finished, so create an original piece of art for bonus points. So this will be completed on page 2 of your student copy of the water cycle sheet, that sheet I was just showing you. When you have finished, specifically this sheet, when you have finished, you will turn in the document. Remember to change the share settings so that I can see your document. For bonus points, you may create an original piece of art that goes along with the story. 4 bonus points possible. If you're tuning in electronically, please just take a picture of that. So I wanted to give you an example of what your story could look like. This isn't an original Miss Bockover made up project. Somebody actually did this. So Walter the water molecule take a journey through the water cycle. Walter's having a blast dancing on the surface of the Atlantic Ocean in the bright sun. Waves bounce him against zillions of other water molecules like himself, not to mention all the salt molecules in seawater. As he reaches the crest of a wave, a gust of wind carries Walter and his buddies off in the drops of spray. They shriek wildly as the drops whip through the air to land. Plop, black in the water. Walter reaches the peak of another wave. Hang on, here we go again. But this time, the water molecules don't hang together. The warm sunlight gives them a boost of energy, and each goes flying off like a balloon set loose. Walter is now part of a wild party of molecules in the air. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and other water molecules, rising higher and higher into the atmosphere. The winds take Walter to the west. Floating in the sky, Walter looks down at the beach where the waves he rode a while ago pound against the sand. He is way up now, far above towns, ball fields, and roads. Looking ahead, he can see a range of mountains approaching the Catskills, overlooking a broad river valley. The winds carry Walter higher as they reach the Catskills. And I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. It is getting colder now, and Walter and his buddies have lost some of the energy they now had. He and a few others rest against a particle of dust floating nearby. Other water molecules are doing the same thing nearby, forming tiny drops of water around the dust particles. Looking down, Walter sees that the crowd of tiny water drops around him are casting a shadow on the treetops below. It has become a cloud. More water molecules pile on to Walter's drop, making it bigger and heavier. The wind can't keep it up anymore. The drops start falling down faster and faster. Walter waves to the other molecules in the air as he zips past, his raindrop racing other drops as they fall towards the ground. He reaches out to the top of the leaves of trees just before splat, his raindrop hits the ground and splashes into smaller droplets. The droplets bounce and settle back down. Some slip between the leaves and on the forest floor and into the soil beneath, off to explore underground. Walter's droplet combines with others running down a hill into tiny streams. They meet to form larger brooks, sliding down the slopes into still bigger creeks. As Walter's creek flows over a large flat rock, it starts to pick up speed. Suddenly, Walter is falling again, deafened by the roar of the creek pouring into the pool at the base of the waterfall. A few minutes later, he plunges over another cliff to the second drop, and the Catterskills fall, 260 foot tall. Rushing onward, Walter enters the Catterskills Creek in the Catterskills Cove, a steep valley that the creek has eroded in the mountainside. For Walter, it is as wild a time as he had on the ocean's wave. He rides rapids, spins in whirlpools, and nearly flies in the air again from the foam under another waterfall. But as soon as the creek reaches flat land on the foot of the Catskills and slows down, Walter relaxes, wondering what lies ahead on the Catterskills Creek joins the Catskills Creek. Lulled by the lazy current, Walter is about to take a nap when a large dark shadow looms up before him. Next thing he knows, Walter is sucked into the gaping mouth of a fish, a big carp. Before he has time to blink, Walter is pushed past the carp's red gills and back into the creek. 3 feet of golden scales and fins slip by as the great fish swims on. The Catskills Creek takes Walter to the Hudson River, and he notices that the Hudson behaves oddly for a river. Its currents keep reversing directions. Twice a day it flows back towards the mountains. At the same time, the river level rises and falls, rising as the current flows towards the mountain and falling as it flows the other way. Walter realizes that this is the motion of the tides, the same tides he felt out in the ocean. He also sees fish that he remembers from the sea, like the striped bass. But where are all the salt molecules, he asks him. There are only a few here. It takes time to answer this question. Drifting south for 6 hours, then north for the next 6 hours, Walter doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But as the days pass, he notices that he always drifts further going south than he does going north. Eventually, at a place where steep mountains crowd up against the river, he starts to see more salt molecules. Their number increases each day as he drifts further south towards the Atlantic Ocean. Reaching a great city with tall buildings lining the river shores, Walter knows the ocean isn't far away. He can't believe that seahorses and flounders are now swimming past him. Sure enough, in a few more days land is far behind. The tall buildings disappear over the horizon. Walter is back among the ocean waves, sparkling in the bright sun. He is just starting to wonder what his next adventure might be when a huge shape appears under him. It's bigger, much bigger than the carp in the Catskills Creek. Just as Walter realizes he's on top of a whale, the great animal exhales. Its spout blasts him upward, and he finds himself floating in the air again. But this time the wind is blowing to the east, headed out over the Atlantic. Maybe I'll make it to Europe, Walter says to himself, settling in for the ride. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Walter has had many adventures. You've heard only a few of them here. He has been sucked up by tree roots, pulled high into the tips of tall trees. He's journeyed from reservoirs to kitchen sinks and through thirsty fifth graders. He's been underground, flowing through tiny cracks in bedrocks and then bubbling up in the springs. He's been frozen in glaciers for thousands of years. Burr and boring. Your assignment is to write a story describing the journey of a water molecule. It doesn't have to be Walter. Wonderful. Okay, so that's your assignment. You are going to create a story of the journey of a water molecule. Make sure you have these words in it. I know that one didn't, but yours will. And I will be grading it accordingly. If you have any questions, please email me. If not, I hope you enjoy your day discovering all about the water cycle. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.